The White House is making final preparations for a high-stakes summit between President Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska this Friday. We understand they still have to pick a venue. Also undecided what role, if any, Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky will have in determining the fate of his own country. Overnight, Zelensky said, quote, "Russia refuses to stop the killings and therefore must not receive any rewards or benefits. Concessions do not persuade a killer." Let's get right to CNN's Elena Treen at the White House with the latest. Good morning, Elena.
Good morning, John. I mean, look, this is an incredibly quick timeline for any type of meeting of this magnitude with a foreign leader, let alone a potential foreign adversary. And so we are seeing people here at the White House really scrambling to try and make this possible. And again, hosting Vladimir Putin on American soil, I cannot go or overstate enough just how big of a deal this is and how little time they have had to prepare for this. Now, you mentioned this, John, but as of this morning, there is still no official venue for this face-to-face meeting between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We know, of course, that it's expected to be in Alaska. It's central to, Moscow as well as Washington. But that's really all that they are sharing on that front thus far. And I think the stakes, of course, are so incredibly high. We are now 7 months into the president's first term, and his big goal, one of the top priorities for him when he came into office, was to try and find a swift end to this war between Russia and Ukraine. And recently, of course, in recent months, we've really seen his tune change. He had hoped that he could leverage his relationship with Putin to make progress on that. But in recent weeks, you've really seen his frustration with the Russian president grow because of his duplicity. And now, of course, we are seeing the president host him on American soil and seeing if hopefully he can make further progress by having it face to face. It's really a major test for President Donald Trump and his long-held faith in having these face-to-face meetings and hoping that they are really the key negotiating tool that he believes in. Now, I think there's still, of course, a number of questions that are hanging over this. You mentioned one, but the big one, of course, is whether or not we're actually going to see Zelensky travel to Alaska as well for this. We did not hear the president or other top officials say that he was going to be coming when they announced this on Friday, but from our conversations with people here at the White House, they are leaving that potential open. But the priority for them has remained in these conversations. They say the priority has remained that they have Trump and Putin come face to face. Another key question, of course, is what exactly did Putin share with the special envoy for the president, Steve Witkoff, last week when Witkoff met with him in Moscow? That was really the key meeting that set all of this in motion. And what was it exactly? What are the exact details that Putin was offering that made people here in this administration believe that it was the time was right to have these two come together? And so really a number of questions that still need to be answered. A lot of people here scrambling ahead of the Friday summit, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what they can work out in these next few days.
Yeah. What, if anything, is Russia conceding in this process? Such a key question. Elena Treen at the White House. Thank you very much. Kate?
Yeah, there's really only nothing but questions surrounding this at this point, it appears. Joining us right now is CNN Global Affairs analyst Kim Dozier and CNN political and national security analyst, of course, with the New York Times, David Sanger. It's good to see you guys. David, at this point, do you see a last-minute invitation being extended to Zelensky to join? And if not, does it necessarily mean that Ukraine's going to be on the losing end of any deal?
Well, I could imagine them inviting him, but depending on how that first meeting goes with President Putin and President Trump, it might not work out so well. So just imagine for a moment, Kate, this scenario, that Putin comes in and makes a series of land demands. The president, we've already heard, is talking about land swaps. What's he not talking about? He's not talking about security guarantees for Ukraine. He hasn't spoken yet about whether or not Ukraine could eventually join NATO. The administration has been pretty negative on that. And so then he presents something to Zelensky and puts him in a room with Putin. If Zelensky rejects it, then it puts Putin and Trump on the side of pressuring Zelensky and puts us right back where we were during that disastrous Oval Office meeting back in February.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem that, I don't know if we could say it's the most likely scenario, Kim, but you've got, just as David was saying, either Putin walks in, gets a good deal for him, and Trump successfully convinces Zelensky to accept it, or Putin walks in, gets a good deal for him, and then Zelensky rejects it, and then we've got this wedge created once again between the United States and Ukraine. I mean, what are you hearing from your sources?
Yeah, and the fireworks from Alaska would be seen from space at that point. In Ukraine, what people are worried about is Putin's track record of convincing Trump of the rightness of his position and the inevitability of Russian efforts to take over parts of Ukraine. So they are worried that no matter what Europe is doing right now to bolster Kyiv's position and say we won't accept something that gives away territory for nothing. The fact of the matter is Trump gets in a room with Putin and frequently gets educated about history from the Russian point of view and takes it at face value. So the question is, will Trump have anyone in the room with him to give him an alternative point of view? Is it going to be another one of those Helsinki-style events where it was just Putin and Trump and I believe a translator? And that is a dangerous situation for Kyiv. Meanwhile, you've got Zelensky saying, we're not going to give up territory, that Russia is demanding that it get territory that it has not yet won on the battlefield, including major cities. I can't see anyone in Ukraine standing for that.
And David, then there's this secondary sanctions kind of effort and threat hanging out there at the same time. Trump imposing new tariffs on India as punishment for continuing to buy Russian oil and gas. And then Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal, they've been pushing an even tougher plan. I mean, they've been working this for over years at this point. This tougher plan, trying to get it through Congress. I want to play how Graham kind of put it all in perspective yesterday.
Putin could give a damn about sanctions. He evades them. He could give a damn about how many Russians die. The one thing that he can't tolerate and live with if we go after his customers.
Yeah.
The whole goal is to crush his customers, India and China and Brazil, that if you keep buying Putin's oil and prop up his war machine, you will be denied access to our economy.
And David, what are you hearing about this?
So if you're looking for an example of strategic incoherence, this is one of the most prime ones, Kate. We have put secondary sanctions on India, which has been buying Russian oil. Okay, got that, check. We have not put any secondary sanctions on China, and in fact, the president, because he's got a much bigger deal in mind with China, has put off all of the decisions about China for about 90 days. China buys more Russian oil than India does. And Russia itself, the aggressor in the war, has about a 10% tariff on it right now, one of the lowest that's out there. Can anyone explain, if you had to walk into a classroom and try to explain to a group of international relations students why it is that you did this way, I don't understand really how you'd go do it.
Yeah, and hence why the Graham-Blumenthal bill has almost all of the Senate endorsing their plan versus the way the president's taking this piecemeal one step at a time.
That makes perfect sense, yeah.
Exactly. Kim, David, I mean, it's going to be a week, guys. Thank you so much.